social media is not a way for you to sell what you're creating.
I also feel I'm not loyal to social media. I am loyal as a creator.
So on my worst days, I do get jealous.
That there is a bias on social media platform for men and women.
Forget sales funnel. I'm going to serve people for free.
60-70% you can copy, but 30-40% is your intuition.
When my LinkedIn impressions are good, Instagram is not. And when Instagram is good, LinkedIn is not. And
What is one underrated tip for new content creators? So I'm going to start off with this question. In recent days, a lot of conversations are happening on LinkedIn where people complain that LinkedIn is pushing down the sponsored content more, and they're cutting down on the organic content pieces. So what's your take on that? Has that actually impacted your growth?
To be honest, for me, my impressions are definitely down. In terms of growth, the two things that I track are profile views and impressions. My median impressions are where they have always been, so I'm happy with that. It's just that what I a post that got, let's say, 40,000 impressions in the past might now max out at 10, 15,000 impressions. The same post, obviously refreshing it a little bit. So the reach has definitely gone down. But year three into my content journey, and if I'm planning to do this for a really long time, which I am, it just does not matter at this point. Is that this is a great place to be. I'm always going to strive to get my post to as many of the right people as possible. At the same time, once I create it, it is what it is, and you just iterate going forward.
Sure. Roshni, for you, you had a very good run in the recent times. So how things are for you?
I think in 2024 end, yes, things got like really good. 2024 end, I would say, but I think I'm on the same in line with what Varun is saying. I really think of this as more of definitely like what you said, like which is a long term game. But it's kind of like we are very close to the media industry. Like I think it's very similar to what media industry, like for example, what is Bollywood, what is Hollywood. A star comes, they get the popularity, and people are like, I want to consume so much more content of this, or like I want to see more movies of this person. Like 10-15 years back, like let's say Ritik Roshan had come, let's say 20 years back, so you wanted to see more movies. Once you see more content, like more movies of this person, then another person comes, and you're like, oh, I want to see more of this, like I want to see more of Ranveer Singh, then I want to see more of Varun Dhawan. So I think it's this kind of space. So there is going to be time where one person kind of is like, oh yeah, the content is pushing, the algorithm is pushing, and then there is going to be time when that person will not have that much. But it's more of like being in a long game, right? How you're keeping yourself relevant. So for me, that's how I'm looking at it, like my experience has been. Pooja, I'll let you talk on this.
I was just thinking in my mind that there is nothing, I think Varun said it so well, and Roshni also seconded that none of us are in this for the short game. I think all of us believe in the power of social media and also LinkedIn specifically. It has helped all of us in very interesting ways. And I could have conducted a launch event, a book tour, or a conference this year for Unshackled, if not for LinkedIn. So I feel like we're going to work on so many more projects in the next 10 years, so many diverse projects, and social media at the end of the day is just a distribution platform.
True.
LinkedIn is a distribution platform. And one of my favorite quotes about social media was from Brendan Kane. And he said something like, social media is not a way for you to sell what you're creating. It's not a way for you to get money from your followers. Rather, it is a way for you to get people to like, respect, and trust you. And that's it. Some point, yes, some of those people would want to give you money in exchange for some product or service, but you just focus on like how can I get people to like, respect, and trust me. And I think for me, trust is very important because I also talk about things that have low margin for error, so you want to make sure you're not hyping something or saying the wrong things.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. But I have a follow-up question. Like, do you guys believe that LinkedIn is intentionally doing this for sponsored posts? Because, like, again, 99% of content that comes out on LinkedIn is organic based, and then just there is 1% where, yeah, there is a lot of money involved. But then, would LinkedIn sabotage the organic content just for the money that they get out of the sponsored post, or is it just a pure coincidence that is happening, which we don't have a perfect say on this, right? Nobody from the platform addressed this saying that yeah, we are trying to push down the sponsored content. Nobody, we don't have an authentic information. So is it a mere coincidence, or is it for real that LinkedIn is trying to make money out of them? Of course, they're also an organization. They need money, which we are not going to deny. But what is it? Is it a mere coincidence, or is it a real sabotage?
I have no idea, and I don't know if Varun or Roshni does, but I have absolutely no clue.
I think I have like some follow-up questions to kind of like even get to the answer. So LinkedIn's earning model is from like the premium subscriptions and all that stuff, right? Majorly that's how it earns. So it does not really need a lot of money from sponsored content. That's what I think. Like maybe that's how the platform has been till now. But so you are saying that organic reach is kind of going down, but whoever is paying to LinkedIn through ads and all is kind of like getting more boost, right? Like that, is that the question
that,
that
that
you're
that is what most of the people believe, and we also see that here and there. See, YouTube did the same few years back. Like once the YouTube ads was an option to all of us, but then they realized that whoever pays for a subscription will not get those ads, but others are have to. I mean, there is stuff down the throat through those ads, right? So ads are essential for the companies to run irrespective of their business model. So is LinkedIn trying to push down the sponsored content that has been talked? It's been a constant and a serious talk that is happening on the LinkedIn platform by a lot of creators, and we also see we do manage a ton of, I mean, not ton of, I wish it is ton of, but we do manage a lot of clients, and we do see there is a steep decline in the content organic performance. So while I don't believe that this is an intentional sabotage, but I believe this is a mere coincidence. So I just wanted to understand your takes as well.
what is a good organic reach according to you per post?
I mean, for Soundarya, when we used to that, we off a million impressions were a decent average
Hmm.
numbers we were hitting at least once or twice in a week. But then now it has become a little lag for us. So I think 60 to 40 percentage cut is there in terms of organic reach. Is what I also see and
I
observe.
think it is a subject of crossing 100K. I think it's a function of that. I really am
Now,
telling you.
Varun, do
Yeah.
you agree with this?
See, sponsored posts have gone up in the feed. There is no denying that. I think I may be getting technical, but sabotage is probably not the right word for it. I think they are doing agile while the word is doing agile, which is they are just testing different strategies to see if they can increase dwell time on the platform. They can take some percentage of users from other social media platforms to theirs, hence the video tab. So they are going to try and grow their revenue, grow how much time people spend on their platform. But for them to sabotage organic would be extremely bad because that's what drives the growth. They are trying to push it as much as possible, like push sponsored posts and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, reach has gone down. You adjust to that, or you just say, okay, this game is not worth enough for me anymore, and then you choose to do something else with your life. But so far, I wouldn't call it sabotage. I would call it them doing agile testing of what it takes to grow the
I
platform.
I also feel I'm not loyal to LinkedIn. Okay, I'm not loyal to you as a platform. If you don't give me views, I'm gonna shut my shop and I'm gonna go to other platform that is giving me more organic views. So I am loyal as a creator. I'm loyal to views. I am not loyal. I'm loyal to my audience. I'm not loyal to as a platform singularly. If it's going to penalize me and demotivate me, like for example, Instagram, it is kind of, it can get demotivating, like it has this patches as well, right, where it's like not growing. So I'm the kind of person who basically, I think it's good and bad. Like it's good when such things happen because then creators are like, okay, which new platform shall I go towards, like there is Medium as well, right? It's kind of written platform. Now other platforms are coming like Glassdoor and all these are coming. What LinkedIn is doing, it's going to do in 5 years from now. People are now, even now people are consuming Glassdoor as much as they're consuming LinkedIn as well, right? Of course it's more popular as a platform. So other platforms will be like, hey creator, you're demotivated, please come here, let me help you. So it's I think it's going to be that kind of a game. So I don't get worried about like that. Like I think what Pooja was saying, it's about building that trust. Platforms will keep changing. You don't know, LinkedIn might be banned in India in future or in some other place, right? But that community that you have built, I think they will follow you regardless, right, where you go. So I think that's how I look at it. And I want to know, Pooja, what do you think about it?
I'm so glad you said what you said right now, that you're not loyal to the platform, because, and I'm saying this, and Arvind, you know this from the last few months. I've always observed this weird trend where when my LinkedIn impressions are good, Instagram is not. And when Instagram is good, LinkedIn is not. And it's only a few times that both of them have like coincided. I think now maybe is one of those times, but the last few months, especially after crossing this like 100K mark on LinkedIn, it just completely slowed down.
Yeah.
But Instagram has been growing much faster than before.
Yeah.
And I can feel myself wanting to spend much more time on Instagram now than LinkedIn, like
Mhm.
creating content there on LinkedIn. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, that is a platform that's performing well. And I want to keep that up and I want to keep putting out good content. So I'm going to do that. And I realized that, like Roshni said, yeah, I think we're loyal to whichever platform is going to reward us, because these platforms are not paying us a single dollar.
Mm.
Not like Twitter, where I think you can still monetize, but we're not making anything from making content on these platforms, not like YouTube either. Oh, I was just going to say, I still believe the only trustable medium through which you can really like get in touch with people who actually care about what you do is email list. I've been a huge champion of this for the last 2 years, and we grew Unshackled email list to almost 30,000 subscribers, and I think that is still the biggest asset we have, more than any, even if it's 300K followers on social media, but that 30K I think is much more loyal, and they hear from you every single week.
Mm.
Unlike social media, where, when we're scrolling through LinkedIn, I don't think we spend more than 5 seconds, or not even 5 seconds, like 1 second in a hook. And if it seems compelling, we'll maybe spend another 30 seconds maximum and then move on to something else. But so I just think like the noise to signal ratio is so much higher on social media versus email, where it's still high. People don't spend more than a few seconds in an email, but I think it feels more personal to me, at least.
Got it. Sandhya, do you want to take us through your strategies for, moving your audience from all these social media platforms to the newsletter community so that it will be helpful for others as well?
Yeah, I'm still very much learning it, but in the last 6 months, something interesting that's been happening is at the end of each post, before the last 6 months, I used to just say, "Hey, go here and join the newsletter. Go here and join the newsletter." And Varun, I remember a couple years ago asked me, "Do you think that's a good idea? Because LinkedIn doesn't like when you add links at the end of each post." And I didn't even think about that. I was like, well, I think even if it drops off, even if I don't get as many impressions, it's still worth it because we'll get people who actually care about this in an email list. I still stand by that for the most part. But the last 6 months, instead of just saying join the newsletter, I spent time creating 25 different free guides on different
Mm.
topics. Many of these are chapters from my books, so it was handy that way. But I also had guides on everything from cracking your first interview to getting an internship in the US to the talent visas to even I made this guide on how to build a planning system on Notion, just all these different topics. And I realized at the end of each video, you want to give people a guide that's relevant for them, that is related to the video, and also make this visually pleasing. Because I think when people read a guide that looks good and feels good, they'll come back to you for more good content. And by doing this, I feel like we've added maybe, 15,000 people in the last, not even 6 months, I would say 4 months, 4 to 5 months, 15,000 people who just came through social media by adding these free guides at the end of each video.
So are you saying video or yeah, even on LinkedIn? Like you're saying both you have
Both,
had. Oh,
both.
I see. Okay.
Exactly. So in Instagram, one awesome thing that Arvind's team found is you can automate this. ManyChat
Mm.
is this tool that lets you send responses to people who comment on your reels and posts, and they just have to say that keyword. And yes, Instagram does not really like it. I think I've heard from Arvind's team at times that, hey, Instagram doesn't like if you automate too much. But I still feel like, for the large part, anytime we've added that call to action, it has really worked well, especially for certain type of content. So that's for Instagram. LinkedIn unfortunately does not let you automate anything like that,
Yeah.
and it's frustrating. But LinkedIn, I would just say you can go here and get it yourself. But I am seeing a few people who are hiring EAs and virtual assistants who will like literally send the guide to everyone who comments. And but that way they get like 2,000 comments on their posts. And so, yeah, that's a more tedious way to do it. But I think it's maybe better way than just putting a link at the end of your post.
Yeah, and it is also a little tricky to DM each one of them in LinkedIn because they have to be connected with you. Otherwise, you can't DM them. There are so many restrictions in terms of LinkedIn, but then it's all easy with Instagram. You are saying something, Roshni.
Yeah, I was just saying that it's a very good point. I think Pooja, you have told me more than more times than I can count that you should start. I really need help on newsletter. If you guys have any resources, if you do you do that, Arvind? Do you take care of newsletters? I think
We
I'd
do, we
messaged
do.
you. I had messaged you that do you
You
take care?
you said you will drop me a voice note whenever you are ready. So I'm just waiting
Oh,
for that. No
okay.
problem. We'll just catch
That's
up
an option.
after this call.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I am really looking for help on newsletter. So if yeah, I
Sure.
think this is the best thing. One another thing that I will take out of this session where I do need help with growing. I mean, my newsletter. So yeah, I'm gonna given the job is taken.
Sure,
So
sure. Thank you so much. But I just wanted to have one follow-up question to Varun before we move on to the next topic. Varun, both Soundarya and Roshni have crossed 100K together. So we cannot, assume things from both of their profiles. So the question is, you're roughly around 80K mark, and the question is your content performing well? Have you seen the impressions getting 2x or 3x in the recent times? Is your growth in a steep curve, or is it also dipping at times?
No, I think it is dipping at times. And I rely heavily on repurposing my content as well. So 3 out of 5 posts are probably repurposed. And I can clearly track how many impressions the same post got like 6 months back and then a year back. In some cases, I have data for a year and a half back. I'll give you an example of like one of the most popular posts that I had. It had 2 million impressions the first time I posted it. The second time I posted it, it had about 400K. Like there was a steep drop in 6 months. And now it kind of hovers around 200K, 300K impressions, something like that. So again, that is through the years that I have seen a drop in impressions. Even now, I think my median impressions would be just 10,000 or something like that. Median, not average. So then to answer your question, yes, there has been drop. I don't see any correlation between where I am follower count wise versus all the data that I am tracking. I don't think there has been a correlation. I've only gone, it almost feels like I'm gone down on new posts that I create. Very rarely do I get a new champion post that goes into my repurposed content strategy, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, it does. So what I truly believe is like whatever the platform is doing at their forte, we don't have a say on that. But at the end of the day, we are trying to create content for fellow human being, and their taste and the way they consume content is also changing. They're also fed up with so many content that is coming out on the platform. So they're also fed up. It's very easy for them also to assume that hey, this is an AI generated content. This person is not writing for real. So that is what is actually making it is actually disturbing the engagement, and the moment it disturbs the engagement, everything goes down from there. So I believe it's more than the platform itself. It is people. They are a little fatigued. They are fed up with the AI content, so they don't really value the real content for that matter. So that being said, I wanted to have a couple of questions to understand your individual content creation journey. So if you could just walk me through how did you start this journey and what have you been doing so far, and how is this impacts your professional and personal life?
I just had a follow-up question to just a small question to Varun that how do you repurpose? Do you take the same content, same picture and post it, or how like do you change the write-up? Like how do you really repurpose?
I've done both, frankly. If I'm strapped on time, I've just repurpose this content as is,
Mhm.
because LinkedIn, there's no SEO, right? It's not like YouTube where you can go and search
Yeah.
posts very well. So there is not a long term kind of plan where people can look at posts 4 months back. So I do repurpose content as is. Sometimes I'll try to add an image, sometimes I'll try to remove an image. Surprisingly, you guys might find this surprising. My text only posts
Do better.
get more impressions than any time I add any kind of an image or a carousel or a billboard or whatever you name it. My text only posts tend to do a lot better. I don't know why.
Text only post will not get you followers. So I experimented this. If you put just text only post, it will cross 500,000 views. It can easily cross, but it will not give you, rise in followers. So that's the other thing. So then you are like, what was the KPI for this particular post? Maybe it was that, yeah, I just wanted the reach, but then you have to be clear. Okay, yeah, if I put 10 text only post, I'm not gonna get follower growth. I'm gonna get impressions growth. So that's how I was able to kind of like find that out. But it's good that, I think you have to start repurposing, which is where I'm also at, and I really want to know how people are doing it, because you're gonna get burnt out if we don't repurpose it. We're gonna just be like,
Roshni, if you don't mind me asking, why do you think that text-only post will not get you followers? Or and also the follow-up question is it for true? Varun, I think you might have a different answer. Soundria, is it for true? Have you analyzed that? Well, we haven't, but yeah,
I'll let Roshni answer
yeah.
first and then go.
yeah, I say that because I have experimented that. I have put text only post, and then I've seen if there was a growth of followers, after those posts, and I saw that it was not growing. If I put a post with a photo, then the same post, if I put with a photo, that will do actually might get me less impressions, but will at least get me follower growth. So then it's like you have to be clear on what your goal is. If your goal is that this month I am, under 500k impressions, I want to have more impressions, then I can fix that by using text based post. If I really want to have more follower growth, then I have to fix it by that. That's an experiment we did. And see, so that's the other thing, my team always keeps on telling me we should do this, we should do this. I let them do it, but at the same time, I'm like, did you see what was the result of that? Like, this did not give us follower growth, but this gave us impressions growth, which is fine as long as we know, like, there's an intentionality, right? The way I look at it is like a car which is moving with four wheels, right? A car can only move forward if all the four wheels are moving forward, right? So I think of data like that. That I'm also like an engineer, so data, literally comprehension of the data is going on even when I'm sleeping. Like, oh, this happened. So this car can only move forward if my data analytics is extremely strong, and I think the strongest person in my team is me in terms of that, like data analytics. So they might comment, but they don't go ahead and see, but I do go ahead and see that, did this give me what I was looking for, or what did it give me? Do I want that, like that? So that's how I kind of look at it.
Okay, do you want to go, Soundarya? Because I have a follow-up question for her.
No, I think you should ask the follow-up.
Roshni, in general, what happens is, like, for example, you're putting a post on a text only post on Friday, and then you're making another image static post on Saturday. If you're trying to count the number of followers, it could be also from Monday to through Thursday. The followers would have got added from that. So, how do you exactly validate them or validate this? The whole hypothesis of the text only post does not get me followers. And the second follow up question is, in general, if you have more impressions, you tend to have more followers. Like, you tend to have. I wanted to put that in quotes, but what you're saying is your text only post will have more impressions but less followers, and then your image post will have less impressions and more followers. This sound a bit contradicting to me. So if you can take me through it.
I think you are also from an engineering background. If I am, yeah, right. Okay, so we always start with, like in maths, we always start with an hypothesis.
No, I'm laughing because there is a running joke in my family. My wife is an MBA and she's done marketing. She's like, engineers do engineering and then figure out what they want to do with their life. So that's why I'm laughing that, okay,
I'm
we are
an
all engineers, but we are doing something very separate from
well,
engineering or
I'm an
talking about it
engineer.
anyway.
I'm a biotechnologist, biotechnology engineering, and then I did an MBA. So I get everything. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Roshni.
Yeah. So, no, I was saying that we always have some assumptions that we make, right? So, when you're doing data analysis, there's always assumptions that you have to make. And then you have to then see that the what I was assuming, did it make sense? That's what a growth hacker means, right? You're hacking, the algorithm, so in that way. So for me, what you are saying, you on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and see, right, in the analytics, that how many new followers were gained in that particular day. So that's how you can kind of see, okay, this post, and then you assume that maybe this day I posted this. So in the circumference of plus or minus 1 or 2 days, maybe this post is what has given me these many followers. Again, that's an assumption, but you have to make some safe assumptions to kind of get some data that, okay, yeah, this is what is helping. So whenever I did just text only post, that's the assumptions I made, that okay, you know plus or minus 1, the follower growth that I got was from this particular post. So that's how I kind of like see. And again, for the text with photo post, I think my major text with my major photos, my major posts are with photos. So then I kind of was like, oh, these, when the weeks that we have done this, I have gotten more followers. You can do it like that kind of experiment, just one full week text only post, right? Or one full week post only with the pics. So then you can get an easier, that's the other thing. Like, I think, social media is all about, I feel, it's all about algorithms and hacking those things. So experimenting. So I think that's what you could do. Like, you can see, okay, I'm gonna just put a text only post and see. And that way. I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah, I
No,
start with a
no.
hypothesis. Yeah.
It varies with people. To be very honest, that's the beauty of social media. There is a lot of diversity. You're saying that you get a lot of followers through a static post, and then Varun gets it through text only post. So, that's the beauty. And anyways, I just wanted to ask you a very generic question to all three of you. Where did your content creation journey start, and where is it so far, and how is this impacted your personal and professional life?
Where did it start? Where is it now? How is it impacted? When you say where is it now, are you saying like just talk about numbers or something else?
Yeah, I mean, we all started from zero, but the point here is when you started this whole journey, things would have been completely different, and you wouldn't have thought that you would grow to this level, right? So, what does that change? Why did you start content creation at the first place, and how did that take parts after you started working on it consistently? So, that's the first question. And your second question is, how did that impact your personal and professional life?
Gosh, there's so much to say here. So I'm gonna try to be brief. And if I'm not, just stop me. Where did it start? I am a writer first, founder second. I say this anywhere I go on podcast because people see founder of Untrackle, but really I'm an author and writer first, and have been for a very long time. Since undergrad, I was writing fiction, sci-fi. I was managing the university's online newsletter, so writing was always a very big part of my life. But social media writing, I think, began. I think there are three platforms where I've created quite a lot of content: LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. And I'm hoping to start creating something on Twitter and Threads this year. We'll see. But even just managing three platforms does feel like a small part-time job. But on these three platforms, LinkedIn began end of 2022. The funny thing is, I was on LinkedIn from 2013. From 2013 to end of 2022, I went from 0 to 10,000 followers in almost a decade. And I didn't care about that. I would just go there to share announcements. Hey, I got into NIT, or hey, I got this award, I got this scholarship. And sometimes to share my articles as well. But end of 2022, I had quit my job. I had to figure out a way to talk about Unshackled. And I thought LinkedIn is, an interesting way to go and share content.
You quit when 2021 end.
2022 end, actually.
2021 end, you quit your job.
Oh, right. I quit my job 2021 end,
See?
but 2022 end is when I began Unshackled
I know
as a
you.
project.
So, because I remember I met you when you had done that. That's why I remember that. So yeah.
Yes. And so a few posts went viral because it also coincided with the beginning of layoffs. And I was sharing content for immigrants who got laid off. So I still remember January of 23, I was in India and this is TMI for sure, but we all do it, so I'm going to say it. I took my phone to the toilet in the morning, like we all do sometimes. And okay, Varun does not, but sometimes, And I was checking something. I don't, to this day, I don't have any social media on my phone. It's always on the web. That's this clear separation I realize I need from the get go. So I had logged into LinkedIn through the web thing on my phone just to check something because I'd posted something the previous night and I went to sleep. I didn't even know I posted, I just scheduled it, I think. The next morning I wake up and then I see 1,000 plus new requests, connection requests on my profile, and some 8,000 likes and close to 1 million impressions on this post. Which the only other time I got 1 million impressions is when I said I quit my job, and that post went viral. So this I saw this, and this was a post talking about a resource for people who got laid off on the H-1B visa. And so I think that's when I realized that, okay, you know what? Social media actually can be a great tool to now create awareness on Unshackled and immigration as a whole.
Mm.
So that began the LinkedIn journey. And since then, the tricky thing is, I think a lot of you know that I'm working on this book now, which has nothing to do with immigration, nothing to do with something to do with entrepreneurship, but not much. So I'm going to be talking more about something else from this year. And social media does not really like when creators do that. I think it likes when people talk about the same thing in one field over a consistent period of time. But it's okay. That's,
Who
I think I'm
cares?
willing to give that. Yeah, exactly. I realize it's just a distribution channel. Just focus on talking about what you want while also balancing what the platform rewards. And so that's the beginning of the LinkedIn journey. And Instagram briefly began end of 23. I realized end of 23, I was at 8,000 followers on Instagram. And Instagram grew faster than LinkedIn because right now it's at 80K. And that happened in a year and 3, 4 months, faster than LinkedIn. And once again, still remember for 6 weeks in the beginning, we just kept posting. And Roshni told me this. Roshni, I have to thank so much because she told me on a call in, I think, September 23 that because I was looking up to her for Instagram, she had gone from, I think, 3,000 to 50,000 in just 6 months. And I was so amazed. And she told me that worry about doing it consistently, even if it's just twice a week over 3 months. Because after a while, the algorithm knows, oh, this person keeps coming back.
Mm.
Like, we should now give them something to keep coming back more. It's literally like the, rat running inside that treadmill. And then you just give it food once in a while and it keeps running and running. And hopefully, we're not like the rats and we can have that separation. But I remember sixth week of posting reels consistently on Instagram. Something went viral and reached like 2 million people. And so, yeah, since then, a lot of other videos have gone viral. But I think right now I really care more about, can we have every video cross 100,000 views or at least 50K or 80K? Because, you have 80,000 followers. So try to cross the 80K mark instead of having once in a blue moon video cross 1 million. Because if you can do this consistently with every video, that means that people keep coming back. Like they actually like what you're doing, they trust what you're doing. And so I'm caring more about that on Instagram right now. And
I was really liking it. I think you should also end it with, like, I think what he was asking, which was where is it now? Like, in terms of not just numbers, I'm talking about what do you feel about it? Like,
The
I just,
impact.
yeah, not, and not just impact, also feeling. As a creator, you do feel this is what is happening. Not just about growth, you grow as a person also, I think. And the numbers are the reflection of kind of like that, right? I want to know that
yeah,
from Pooja. And I also have to plug in a little bit. She's just downplaying her LinkedIn game before 2022. She had very good presence on LinkedIn. It's not, I mean, I'm not talking just about the followers, I'm talking about the kind of content she used to write. Like, I used to look up to that, and it used to be very heartwarming, and I used to really read everything what she's writing and what she's doing. The frequency used used to be maybe less, like 2 or 3 posts per week or something like that, but it used to be like a genuine share, like, oh, this is what's happened in my life and I want to share this, kind of like that. So she's not talking about her impact then, because we met in 2020, so we have been following our journey
Yeah.
since like 5 years now. And even in like before 2022, she's like not really talking about it, she's just being modest, but it was a content which people used to really look forward to, like, so you
Oh,
should know that.
that kind of makes me sad, because I realize the moment you try to post every single day, I think your brain goes towards, okay, what do you think would reach people, and less towards, I just want to share something heartwarming.
See,
Because before you didn't care about
change,
that.
exactly, that is a change that has happened as creators. We started with, we want to just share things, and just the organic feeling of wanting to share this with my community and let them know this is what is happening, and listening to them what they have to say. From there it has kind of gone towards like, how many numbers is it reaching, how many shares is it getting, am I growing? So that's what I was exactly getting to, which is, as creators you go through that path, like 5 years ago it was
Yeah.
different.
And hopefully there's a nirvana here, right? Because I feel like ideally I would love to not log in at all. But I don't mean this as, I would love to not log in, because the moment you log in, you want to go check what is happening. Rather, I'd love to just log in to check the messages that's coming in, like see who, because that is something
Yeah.
I, we all get so many messages on our LinkedIn every single week. And I just love that, like, someone across the world, somewhere in Finland, somehow saw this and now they're messaging me. And so many people I've met came through LinkedIn, including Varun, right? I mean, Varun, we met on LinkedIn. And so many of we have a Brown Monday WhatsApp group. So many of us just met each other on LinkedIn, and we haven't even seen in real life yet. We haven't met each other in real life. But one thing I was going to say that changed in me is, I think it gives you a thicker skin, because I still remember my very first hate comment and how I react to it right now. In the beginning, I was so like, oh God, I mean, this person across the world who I don't even know, who I'm never going to meet, hates me, and now my life is bad and it's ruined. Versus now, it's like, okay. I mean, we all have different versions of reality, and what I think is right, you think is wrong. And that's great.
Mm.
So I feel like now I have a almost like a framework to deal with people on that hate spectrum, or criticism spectrum, I should say. Because on one side of criticism, you have valid criticism, like people who call out when I post something with inaccurate data, and I'm like, thank God, thanks for saying, so I'll go update. And then there's people who give you criticism, but not in a good way. They are kind of an asshole the way they share that information. With those people, I realize the best way to respond is just say okay with a smiley. Don't say anything else. Take the criticism, say okay, move on. And then there's people who are not having any valid point, just want to throw insults at you. With them, I realize there's two ways. If you're feeling fun, respond with a joke. Like literally just respond with a joke, because one of my recent videos on Instagram was around marriage, and this random person commented saying, hey dear, you should not have revealed your age as 28 because you look 42 in this video. And then I went to ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, give me a funny response for this. I just need to say something. So I think GPT said something like, tell them, oh, wise one, give me some anti aging tips, please. I desperately need it. So I commented that back to them. And then there's people who are on the border who are literally just throwing insults and using swear words. And with those people, I think the best strategy is block them, wish them well, block them, don't ever let them into your life, because who the fuck needs that energy? I don't. So I think it made me resilient, is my point.
I have a good question to ask here for all three of you. So I have a client and a good friend of mine who once called me to I mean, she started venting it out and started really feeling bad that there is a bias on social media platform for men and women. She was saying that there are people who just insulted her on the platform, also on the private chat, saying that, hey, you should stop creating content because it doesn't really come out well, all those things. That was the thing. And she also told me that this is not in general, or this is not common for men. Men don't get such criticisms or such comments. So Varun, I'm going to start this question with you. Do you believe that, no, I'm not even going to ask do you believe in this, because it is for real. The question is like, do you also get such hated comments, or is it very biased towards women?
I think women get a lot of proposals and a lot of pictures or ask for whatever the case is. I think I
I'm
have seen more DM screenshots of people like misbehaving in the DMs. I have not received any those kinds of DMs
you said
ever. So,
women. It's about single women, not married women. Married women don't
oh,
do
okay.
that. So
You're not getting proposals, Roshni, I'm
I'm
guessing.
not. I'm not. I'm married, so I'm not. In fact, if
Okay.
I put a photo with my husband, my views drop. I don't. I don't put any photos with Shubham on LinkedIn. So
So that is a bias.
that is a bias, exactly. It used to be different before marriage. It used to be different, okay. So there is that bias. I don't put any photos or posts with him. They do good, but at the same time, I don't get good followers or something. But go ahead, sorry, Varun, you were going with somewhere, right?
No, I think, look, what I can comment is I have been a consumer of content from these guys, right? Roshni, Saundarya, I would name a few others like Aditi, and I've consumed a lot of their posts. Their comment section definitely looks different than mine. There's just no two ways about it. They somehow seem to be questioned a lot more, and it's just there's just some shitty people out there as well. So I've definitely seen that more with them. I have gotten some share of fair criticism, I would say, and some share of unfair criticism. Whenever something like that happens, where I feel like somebody's being what we call in Mumbai, Dade Shana, which is like they're
Mm.
trying to be over smart or something like that, then I bring my Mumbaikar in me as well,
Mm.
and I just have a blast with it. So I am somebody who likes to fight fire with fire. And a lot of times, like for example, one of the things that I got in the early years of writing content is that, oh, why are you charging for this? Or why are you asking people to go to your product? You should give all of these things for free. And one of my comebacks is that I have written more free posts than the number of characters in this comment. And I just leave it at that. So when it comes to things like this, I'll fight fire with fire. But I have seen these people get more vitriol as compared to me. And I like the way that these guys handle different situations differently, with blocking being one of them as well.
Any engagement is good engagement. It helps to boost.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say, I mean, that is true as well. And also, before, I used to think, oh, yeah, like, have you guys seen The Newsroom? It's one of my favorite shows of all time by Aaron Sorkin. And The Newsroom is this idealistic newsroom. What could that look like? What if people had integrity in journalism, all of them, and they always focused on facts? And so, in one of the protagonist is trying to civilize the people around him to make sure people live up to the standard. And he realizes with time that it's not an easy thing to civilize people, to change people's behavior. And I feel like in the beginning, and even very recently, as early as a few months ago, I would sometimes get worked up if someone obviously is saying something so stupid. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man. I mean, other people are going to see this and think they're the smart one when I know that this person is absolutely not right. And I would try to like respond and have this comment war. And then I realized I can't imagine a single time where I read a comment in response to my criticism on a social media platform. And first of all, I don't even comment that much. And I changed my mind because of it. We don't go to social media to be like, please change my perspective on this topic. Please tell me, change my perspective on the fact that Trump is a great president or that immigrants should not come to America. No one's doing that. Everyone wants to just confirm what they already know and keep confirming that bias over and over again. And so it is completely futile to try to change people's perspective in the comment section of social media. And I think it's just such a waste of our energy. And we've all been there. Like, we've tried to have the last word in a comment section, and it's different if there's something inaccurate. Yes, you should go and be like, nope, you're wrong, here's the fact. But if it's a matter of opinion, then trying to, and Arvind, I know that you had an encounter with this recently. One of your posts went viral, and there were people who didn't agree with what you said. And the initial reactions to try to be like, no, no, but you're not getting what I'm trying to say. Like, you're painting me out to be this person who's saying something else, but I'm not. It's there in all of us. And right now, I mean, Rajesh would always tell me, just say, okay, block them, or move on from it. Like, it's such a waste of your energy to even take time to respond to this person instead of focusing on all of the other people in your life who care about you.
Perfect. So I just wanted to ask one question to all three of you. How do you detach yourself from social media? Since Soundarya was saying, it is very, natural to get so attached to the platform, starting from the views to the comments that we get to the followers that we add every single day. So how do you detach yourself? I know Soundarya does not have, those apps on the mobile at all. Most of the updates are that we give to her via WhatsApp, and she logs in once in a while to check that. But how do you to attach, or rather try to stay detached from those platforms and the numbers?
I think I also want Pooja to answer, because it is exactly the question I had written for Pooja, which is what she said, like the nirvana, right? She used that word, and I was very curious on what is her framework or what is her process. And especially, I think, I know, like, when we spoke, Pooja, like you said, you want to have 250K by the end of this year, let's say perhaps on LinkedIn. I think we were talking about that, right? Sometimes I also want to catch up on that kind of goal, but at the same time it ends up like pressurizing me, and then blowing out like the creativity, like the creative process that this is. And then I'm like, okay, this is not working for me, right? Like something like that. So I was also very curious, on, you wanted, at the same time putting that as a goal is just kind of like going to make you feel more burdened. So I wanted to know how you look at things, and how it's more about like putting a goal, and if you don't achieve it, are you okay with it, like something like that, right? So
Interesting. Wait, this is almost like a different question now, right? Which is, how do you set a goal for your social media, but also not let it pressurize you or
which is what, like,
make you.
yeah, he was asking how you're detached to social media, which is kind of like how you're detached to the growth. It could be any form. I just want to know, like, I know you said, but I don't think so. Or everybody knows how she puts it separately, right? Like she has a different phone also, I think. So I
Actually,
exactly.
I was going to say,
So
best investment
yeah,
was separating business WhatsApp, work WhatsApp, or unshackled WhatsApp from personal WhatsApp. It has changed. They just, because I think you have to know yourself too well. And I have OCD to close loops. And it's a strength most of the time. I don't miss things, but sometimes it's a weakness because I opened my WhatsApp before 6 months ago and I would see everything in there, like messages from family groups, from mom, dad, from friends, from employees, from social media team. And it would drive me crazy, that because I'd want to respond to everyone right away. And there are people who don't have that OCD, they don't care about it. So I realized one day, I remember waking up literally one day and I saw my phone and I'm like, fuck this. I spent 3 hours figuring out how to set up this other virtual phone number, moving everything over. And it's been a huge just mental piece to open WhatsApp and just see friends and family and sometimes other things. But you can always move those over later on. But to what you asked, Roshni, I don't know the answer actually. I'm still figuring out because I told you this goal I had of some arbitrary goal. Like, I want to get to 250K by end of the year. I have no idea if we'll
yeah.
get there. But the reason I think it's still important to have that goal and reinforce is because um, I have this journal with me that I haven't done it consistently every day, but I do it pretty consistently in the last 3 months. Every day I write down 10 goals for the year that I set in the beginning of the year. And I just think every day when you reinforce yourself of the big picture,
Hmm.
that look, the big picture is, I wrote the actual goal I have there is grow social media to 500,000 community. Doesn't matter which platform, but grow it to 500,000 by end of year across all the platforms, including your email list. And maybe more comes from Instagram than LinkedIn, who knows? But I just ask myself, am I doing anything towards that today? Not this week or next week, but today, am I doing anything towards that? So that's one of the 10 goals. There's also goals which are softer, like always prioritize loved ones. Like
Mhm.
if someone who needs you and you care about them, you should be there and not, be doing work. So I think that's one way to. But yeah, in terms of detachment, it's what Arvind said, is not having any apps on phone. I don't know how people. I don't know if you guys have apps on your phone, and I want to hear from you guys. Does it affect you in any way, or do you still have that detachment? Varun, you don't have it.
I have to add a couple of things here with whatever Soundarya said so that you guys can also add. One, I literally copied almost everything with whatever Soundarya is doing so far. That's one of the best thing that I had, tried to develop in this relationship that we had for the last 1 year. I don't have LinkedIn or Instagram on my phone. Not having that anymore. I have also separated my business and personal number. That has really helped me, those two things. But yeah, go ahead.
I also want to hear from people who don't have these apps on their phone. I'm the odd one out who do have these apps on my phone, so I do want to hear from.
Uh,
I don't have LinkedIn.
Okay, you don't have LinkedIn. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm not even created content on Instagram because I saw the documentary Social Dilemma,
Dilemma.
and
Yeah.
at that point I was like, okay, I'm off Instagram. I didn't close my account, but Instagram was very FOMO inducing for me as well. Like I would look at people's life and I'll be like, why am I not there?
Hmm.
So Instagram was not healthy for me. So I've not been on Instagram for I think 4 years now. No LinkedIn on my phone. But to answer your question, right, which is earlier you do ride the highs and lows of how your content is doing. Like it is a roller coaster emotionally. And I think there is some level of maturity that only happens with time. It's not something you go into thinking, ki, ha, I will for sure do it this way. Unless you are probably older and more accomplished in your life, you are going to ride the waves of going high and low. I think one thing that has changed for me lately, I don't know how long this is going to work, but one thing that has changed that has helped me separate myself from the numbers, from the day to day numbers, is that I have changed the thinking of a sales funnel to be a service funnel, which is
Hmm.
forget sales funnel. I'm going to serve people for free. I'm going to serve people for a low commitment. I'm going to serve people who are ready for a mid commitment. I'm going to serve people who are ready for a high commitment. And all of these things, I'm going to look from a serve people aspect. If I'm writing a post, is it serving people? If I'm creating an email magnet, lead magnet that Pooja referred to, is it serving people? And I think different people are ready for different levels of commitment. So if you are serving for likes, then I don't know if it's the best thing. That's why I haven't create like billboard type posts which are doing gangbusters on LinkedIn. So that's how I've tried to detach myself. I'm not a yogi or 100% robotic about it, but look at the sales funnel, converted it to a service funnel, and that has been helpful so far.
Rajesh would have like he loves the way you just described what you do. That's what he lives by, and thanks. I don't think I will ever think of it as a sales funnel after what you just said. I'll always be like, oh wait, no, service funnel. Remember what Varun said. That's yeah, very beautiful. The
Appreciate
word.
that. Thank you.
That's a really good way.
Right.
Roshni,
Yeah.
I do want to
yeah.
hear your answer.
The bad student in the group. Okay, now we want to hear, like, because I have it on my phone, I think, and I don't think it affects
How
me
many
negatively.
times do you open the app? Roshni, I just wanted to start off with that.
So the first thing is, I think I have something known as scheduled delivery. So I don't know if you know, scheduled delivery is like, you only get emails and things, all the stuff like notifications from your social media apps at a certain time. Like I have put it at, let's say, 10 a.m. After I come, like after I'm already reached the office, I can open it up there. So 10 a.m. Then perhaps at 1 p.m. Then 5 p.m. something, and then before sleeping to on, like, I think 9 p.m. is the end when I see that. So there is scheduled delivery. I do open the app perhaps maybe like every 2-3 hours for sure I do open the app. Like in between the scheduled delivery, I do see okay what's happening on LinkedIn. So I think I when you are in a boring meeting, I think you are like, okay, I want to see what's happening. So and I think that is the reason people have started, like people put captions in the videos. Okay, it's because there are people who are working in their office and they cannot really, look at the audio, right? So there was this one time I was in a meeting and I was scrolling, and it was an online meeting. I was scrolling and there was this some Ambani video that was going on. I was very interested. So I was watching it and it was not on mute. Like the meet that I was in was so my friend messages me, do you know we are also watching your Ambani video? So it has happened to me. Like I'm someone who does look into that. I don't think so it affects negatively. Also, I think I'm like the detachment is, there are few reasons for it, but number one I feel is, I think it's a process. You cannot be fully detached to it because you do want, it to kind of grow, right? So I'm very honest with myself. Like I accept that part of me, that okay, yeah, I don't think so I can be fully detached with this, right? But I also have a daytime job, right? So it helps me. I'm actually still doing engineering, Varun. Like you were saying, like we're not in the field, but I'm still a wireless engineer by job. So when she was not seeing her Wi-Fi correctly, like a part of me was like, can you see how much are you getting over there? So I was like, I was just gonna tell you her that, can you see that speedometer or like internet, you can see, how much you're getting. So but I was saying that that helps me. I think because I go to the office, I meet new people. Also my money is not dependent fully on this, right? Then it's kind of like, okay, I'm not worried if it is growing, if it is not growing. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing I also feel is, I'm someone who's a very like action, like my goals are action based rather than like number based. Like for example, if for her it's 250K, for me it would be, what can I create that will blow the internet, kind of like that. My goal is literally, how can I create something more creatively. If I have a post that goes well, do sit down and see, like, I break it down, like why did it work, was it the picture, was it this, things like that. And then how can I literally have it in like, I mean, I'm more of also very analog person. Like I have stuff. So that's the thing. Like I'm very digitalized when it comes to like processes and things. Like everything is on Notion, but I'm very, very analog when it comes to creative process. So even if I have to write a script or like LinkedIn write up, it's going to be on a notebook, the structure of it, at least like pointers and things. So what I'm trying to basically say by this is that I really focus on the fun of this creating. Like, I really like that okay, I can create this, and sometimes it lands well, sometimes it doesn't land well. So that is also there. But the joy of creation, the joy of, let's say, meeting my team, or the joy of basically, let's say, having this kind of conversation, right? Like it's going to go in my gratitude journal, that yes, I got to have that, right? So I think those things help. Like that's the second thing. And then the third thing, I think detachment, I'm just still thinking, but yeah, I also have I don't have my work stuff on WhatsApp. I use Slack or Teams, like my office is on Teams. So I do put it separately. And there are times when people go on WhatsApp, I literally let those people go from my life. Like if there is a team member who continuously keeps messaging me on WhatsApp, I'm like, dude, you have broken a boundary, and I have to, like, it's how difficult it is to go from WhatsApp or Slack, right? So my team only messages me on WhatsApp when it's like they're gonna die, like, that's like, it's like this post has to go live and something is not approved. That's the only time WhatsApp is used. Other than everything is on other platforms. So I think that helps me to keep it separate. But at the same time, I think, like, I do, like, you guys, I don't know, then how do you see your how is your post performing? You just go on web and see it, like, is that what you're saying? Interesting.
I think we all, no, I shouldn't speak for Varun, but I also go and check on the web to see how something is doing.
Mhm.
But I was going to make a point. I realized because I'm writing a book, you really, really, really cannot do that if you're being distracted by anything. So I actually have this policy of which I am actually beginning the second or third draft again. I just came to the farm to start that this week and I got sick. So awesome timing. But let's assume once I start in the next 2 days. I used to have this policy before while writing the first draft that until 2 p.m., you cannot check emails, work WhatsApp, obviously social media, or anything that's going to stimulate you too much from the outside. The only thing I gave myself is you can check your personal WhatsApp once during that time, but not more than that. Just having that policy, I felt like, because to write a book, you have to go to the space, and to even enter the space takes half an hour,
Mm.
and then you have to leave this. It's like, yeah, it takes a good few hours, and so I'm really excited. As Jiroshni was talking about the joy of creation, I was just thinking that I feel that anytime I'm writing in actual, like, creative long form writing, which I so miss. I used to publish long form articles before on my blog, and social media writing is fun, but it's not as, I think, satisfying for me as long form writing. And so I'm so excited to enter this next phase of writing the book, because now I know that it'll get me even more detached from social media. So my point is, I think when you have that creative project, you automatically will get detached. And Roshni, I know, is also working on a book. So when you get to that peak of writing the book, I'm sure you'll be doing the same thing, because you need to. You don't have a choice at that point.
Yeah, I mean, in my office, my day job, I have to get detached with social media, right? It's totally different. It's not like relevant at all. So, but that gives me, because I have people there and I really enjoy whatever I do over there. So it kind of helps me detach in that way. But good to know. Like, I think, Arvind, that was a very good question.
And it also gets tamed with time, right? So you initially spend a lot of time on social media when you start creating, and eventually you get left, right, and center, and you make that a very beautiful boundary for yourself and social media. So let's get into the content a bit now. We're going to talk this session for purely someone who is starting out today, right? So for them, I wanted to start off with this question: what is your content strategy? What do you write in general on LinkedIn particularly?
Arvind, do you want to make it more specific for early creators? Maybe how
Yes.
I think maybe from a suggestion point of view, how I would suggest now that I've done this.
What is working for you? Like what is the content strategy that you follow, and what is working for you?
I think quality over quantity, number one, like trying to basically create. I think as content creators, there are two type of content creators. One that keep creating consistently, and other one are like the sniper approach. So I think you have to know which one you fall, because there are creators who will keep creating, like Tanmay Bhatt. He'll keep creating content every single day, right? And then there are going to be ones like Kerry Minati who will just come one content piece and then gets millions of views, right? So you have to know which creator category you fall into, and then you decide, do I want to focus on quantity or quality? For me, it's always been quality. I have like taken 1 year break on LinkedIn and I've come back, and then I think I have a sniper approach rather than. I also realized it later, I did not know that, but I realized it. Oh, okay, I'm more of like a sniper person than someone who just can keep creating content regularly. So first thing for me that works, and I know of that, is quality over quantity. So I think that is the first thing. And then the second thing I feel that works is, I mean, like if somebody who's new, I think you need to see what is your per unit effort bandwidth. Like for example, I have a daytime job, so I don't have per unit effort like bandwidth to be too high. So I have to know that, which is why I prioritize quality over quantity. So then how much time I have. Like there are people who would be like, I want to post 7 days a week on reels, right? Like they'll be like, I want to post every day, and then they'll do that for 2 months and then they'll get tired. And that has happened to me also. So I then realized that it's better to kind of know how much time you have, energy you have, how much resources you have, and then plan something and then commit to it. Like, okay, I'm going to post 3 posts a week in on LinkedIn. I can do that consistently for 1 year. So really look at that runway, that okay, I want to do this for 1 year or 2 years. I know you might think that you want to do it for longer, but first, just for the trying phase, this is X amount I want to do it for, and this is, I think, from my perspective, I can do this much. So I think that is one thing that people miss out on. Like when you're just beginning, you want to go all in, but that's just counterintuitive. Just really see how much time, bandwidth, and energy you have, and then put it according to that. So those are the two things that have really worked. And third is patience. I think you really, like, new creators have to be extremely patient. It's like a game that might work and doesn't work. And I think the point shouldn't be that you should get from X to X, let's say 100K followers or 200K. That's not the point. The point is, do you enjoy it? Do you think this is sustainable? Do you think it's something that you could do for, like the rest of your life, or let's say 10 years, right? Because it looks glamorous on the outside, but once you come in, it's a job. at the end of the day it is a job, right? So like I think that's what I would say to new creators. Maybe Varun, you can go.
Varun, I have a slightly tweaked question for you. What is your approach? What is your strategy for writing a viral post? Like, for example, if you want to, you would have done a lot of viral posts in the past, and what are the patterns that you have seen in those viral posts? And if you have to create a viral post tomorrow, what strategy would you follow?
I think it has changed differently at different times. And I think I'll underscore something that Roshni said, which is patience. You need to have patience to kind of get your first viral post. It rarely comes in the first 50 posts that you write.
Hmm.
And virality also changes. So what was viral for me in the first 6 months of my content creation journey is just commonplace now. And now the virality kind of changes. So how would I approach it? I would suggest every new creator to buy a book called Steal Like an Artist by
Oh,
Austin
that's the
Kleon.
one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Very easy book to read. Very, like, it's a square book, a lot of big fonts. So even if you're not used to reading nonfiction, just buy the book and read through it. It is a very easy breezy book to read. What it makes you do is, when you are starting out, we have this pressure of being original, that I need to be original and it has to be my original voice. And if you notice, every creator, artist, sports person, they've all stolen like an artist from people who've come before them. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is that to be viral on any platform, you have to first understand what is already viral on that platform. You have to literally steal that style or steal that topic. But the artist part of the stealing is that then you add a bit of your voice to it, a bit of your experience to it. So I would, before, there was a eureka moment where I actually took an Excel sheet and then I broke down 10 creators in my space. What is the topic they wrote? What is the kind of engagement that they got? What was the hook that they used? Once you do that exercise, you start to see patterns. That, okay, three creators wrote about remote jobs. I've been in a remote job from the past 7 years. So let me write a post about remote jobs. And that was the first post that went viral for me. So I would do the same thing now, which is, yes, maybe now I have a muscle of attempting to create a post that can get viral. Some of them are a hit, some of them are a miss. But if I have to start right now, the more foolproof way would be to see what is working in the platform right now and then add my twist to it, or maybe combine two posts, which is what I call, or not I call, but James Altucher calls idea sex. You can take two different posts, mix them, and see if that creates a new post as well. So I can get into the nitty gritty, but if I have to summarize, look at what's working well on the platform, and then you don't need to recreate everything. Just add your twist to it, even if it's two lines about how this applies to you. It's good enough for you to get that initial boost and understand how the platform works.
So, how do you keep track of what is trending on the platform? Is there any tool that you use, or is it only those people that you follow?
I, from time to time, and this is like a 6 month, let's say 6 month window, every 6 month window, and this is more emotional, right? What I mean by that is, when I feel like I'm not getting enough results for the amount of effort I'm putting, that's where I start to re-engineer stuff. It's not like a scheduled cadence for me, at least. It is the time where I like, okay, now I have to figure out what's the next iteration of the content journey. That's when I then start to look at all the posts that are written, and then what has done well, and I try to kind of figure it out on my own. I had a VA do that in the past, and it is good. It just didn't work for me because I wouldn't make the connection. Generally, the connections happen when I'm filling the Excel sheet, not after the Excel sheet has been filled and I'm looking at it. So that's why I do it more on an emotional basis, where I feel like, okay, there's a need for freshness. Then I look at, okay, what's working, and then try to create new posts. It doesn't always work, by the way. And that is what I'll tell everybody out there, that this is not foolproof. but it is good enough than just blindly throwing an arrow in and not having anything to hit.
I think they're very good points that Varun said. There is a website name known as Clio, Kleo. Clio can actually help you to see what are the viral posts of this particular creator. So you can just put it, it's like a tab that you can just add to your LinkedIn and it can
The
give you that
plugin.
idea. Yeah, plugin. I think the other thing I was very important point that he spoke about, which we have not touched, which is intuition, right? Like the emotional part that he was talking about. I think as creators, that's what you have to hone. Like I think 60-70% you can copy, but 30-40% is your intuition. And I think if you can hone that, you will have a lot of topics. Whenever somebody goes through a creative block, literally what they're saying is that I'm not able to understand what to, my intuition is not giving me any ideas, right? So I think as creative people, very important, if you are just in the beginning stage, hone your intuition, like really try to see what do you like, what do you want to speak for. Some things like that are very important. Like I do look at it as a very creative, and if your intuition and the audience's pulse is in sync, that's a viral post. At the end of the day, it's the people, right? So if you put up something, if you got an idea and then you post it and your audience is pulsing with you, like it's like sing if you go to a concert, if there is a singer that's singing, right, and the audience is dancing, it's literally what is happening when you're posting on LinkedIn. It's no different, right? You are posting something the audience like, and then there is a sync, right? And then they're happy. If you posted something and the audience is quiet and you're like, okay, I think I this was crickets because I didn't understand what my audience really wants, right? So I think at the end of the day, we forget that social media is really the people, right? So that sync of intuition and sync of audience, I think that's very important, I feel.
That's a
Sure.
brilliant point.
Great. I just have two questions before we wrap it up. Since you both are into this career space, um, what do you think about college students creating or getting to start creating content? A lot of people see LinkedIn as just a job applying portal, but they don't really spend a lot of time thinking about, oh, okay, if I start creating content, this would eventually help me to find jobs or even make those jobs come onto my plate. They don't have such thoughts. So, what is your advice to them? Like, what should they uh, think differently to get and land better jobs on LinkedIn?
I mean, all I can say is that if I had started creating content from my college days, I think I never would have had to go look for opportunities. It would have come for me because that's what's happening right now. Like things come to you when you're the hub of content creation. So, yeah, really wish I had done this a long time ago. But, like Roshni was saying earlier, I also like that before I was just creating without worrying about any outcomes. That was also nice. So, but I definitely I think to not even try would be a crime. If you're a student, you have a LinkedIn profile and you literally just open LinkedIn to go check for jobs without ever even trying to create something. That's such a, I mean, that's just a shame though. Like it's like literally at your fingertips. And with GPT, anyone can write content, which is frustrating because I really like to write the content that I publish, but yeah. I wish I had done it a long time ago.
Arvind, do you know what? People think that job search right now is an alignment issue. That, oh, let me create a resume in such a way that I get aligned to the job and I get picked for the interview. But 99.99% the job search right now is all about visibility, because there are enough people aligned with every single job where there are thousands of applicants who are aligned very well to that kind of position. And this problem is exacerbated at early careers because the pool is just so huge and there is not a lot of differentiation in there. Like as you get experienced, you get differentiated by the tools you've used, the kind of work that you've done, the industry that you've done. You are able to kind of niche yourself. Whereas early careers, you're like, give me 100 jobs and I might be able to align myself to those 100 jobs. So people think that what is the resume template that will help me get a job, but it's less an alignment issue, it's more a visibility issue. So how do you get visibility? You can go to career fairs and get visibility. You can go and speak to people one on one and get visibility, or you can start writing content and get visibility. I wouldn't say content writing is the only way to do so. It is, in fact, a longer term game. If you're looking for a job right away, I wouldn't suggest actually creating content because it will take time away from activities that might have a better ROI in terms of your energy. But then you don't look at writing content for just your first job. You think about just building a brand where opportunities come to you, like Saundarya said, because you have so much visibility now.
Mhm.
Companies look at you and say, this is the answer to our prayers. Let me just go and have a conversation with them. So think about visibility more than people are trying to optimize for alignment.
Sure. Before Roshni answers to the same question, Varun, can you give me a framework for anybody who is starting out today as a student who wants to land a job on LinkedIn? Let's assume that they are starting this, they are an engineering student, they are in the second year of their college, and they wanted to start out today. So, what is the framework that they have to follow for the next 2 years to land a very high paying job at the end of 2 years?
I would say, what are the credibility markers that people in that company look for this person in that job? So, a very simple exercise they can do is take any job position, go to ChatGPT and say, give me 20 credibility markers that I would need to display to get this job. So, you have a list of 20 keywords or skills or tools. And once you have those 20, for each credibility marker, write 4 to 5 posts showcasing that you have that. So let's take a data analyst, for example, right? Some of the credibility markers would be SQL, Python, Tableau. Those are all tool based. Write posts about those tools. Then there are some about I'm not a data analyst. I should actually have used an automotive engineering analogy, but data analyst is all on fire right now. So just look at all the credibility markers out there and showcase that you have that credibility. In 2 years, not only will you be there, actually, people will come because you've already created that visibility of showing the credibility.
Got it. Thank you. Uh, one more question to you. What is the framework? Like, hey, start creating 3x a week, start connecting with your niche or the people that you would be your target audience so many times a week. And then how do you engage all those things? If you could just walk me with that framework.
If you're ready to start writing, the simplest advice I would give you is just write. If you are very fearful about writing, the advice that I would give you is for the next 30 days, just comment on other creators in the niche. Just comment on their posts. Get used to sharing your opinion about things, get used to building that writing muscle. And comments are a very good way to do that. Plus, you create relationships. So, comment for 30 days. Then you will also get an idea of how people write on LinkedIn or Instagram or whichever is your platform of choice. Then you start writing. Now, I don't want to over optimize how to write. I think I cannot underscore this enough that your writing is going to evolve so much from the first 100 posts to your last 100 posts. So just write. If I could just share that, don't over complicate it, just write, and then you'll figure it out.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Roshni, your take?
So I just want to like because I was listening to him, I kind of just went into okay, yeah, he's saying, and I'm imagining, yeah, that makes sense. So the question is that what is a framework for someone who's looking for a job right now? Like, is that what
Let's
you?
assume that no, not right now. Let's say that someone has the early advantage. A second year college student is
Hmm.
watching your video and they wanted to start out today. What is your advice to them? And I just wanted to know what are the benefits that this college kid would get through creating content on LinkedIn for his career to get a job? And what is the framework that you would suggest for that person?
Got it. I think that, I got the question. Yeah. So the way I look at things is, I have few things I want to say. The way I look at things is when there is, let's say, a huge line somewhere where there is a huge queue somewhere, I don't like to go there because everybody is doing that, right? I like to see places where there is a small queue or basically places where I can get where I want to without having to put that much of effort, right? So I think when you are like, let's say in your second year, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be applying for internships. You're going to be looking for internships then for job, right? So there are going to be a lot of people who are directly going to be applying to internships. I think what you should focus on is, instead of getting a job or instead of getting an internship, focus on who can get you the job, right? And who can get you the job are these professors. Your professors can actually get, they have a network with these alumni who can get you the job. Your alumni can get you the job. Your seniors can literally get you the job, like third and fourth year people who have gotten internships, they can actually get you the job, right? So you have to like really focus on networking with them. It could be real time networking, it could be even using digital platforms like LinkedIn, so those are the first things that you have to keep an eye on. Second thing is that Gen Z, we're talking to Gen Z right now, these people, right? They, I think we don't give enough credit to Gen Z for who they are. Like we always see them, I think a lot of us see them that, oh, they are like, just sometimes we just call them entitled, right? But I really feel like we don't give them credit for who they are. They have the advantage of like clarity. Like they are, a lot of them are extremely clear. This I could do, this I will not do. At least they're clear of that, like this I will not do. So I think I want them to hone that clarity and like know what they want to do. And this is the time for them to experiment. You're not going to find what your passion is. Even if you're in engineering, you might want to do writing, right? So dabble a lot. So that's like my second, like you have to maybe try your hands in editing, writing. Sometimes the skills might not even add up. Like you want to be an engineer or you want to do MBA, but you are into editing, right? But whatever you learn during this time, you're so young that you can kind of like make the most of it. And then I feel like what you're talking about, like creating content on LinkedIn, just share what you're doing. I think that's how, like you can kind of clearly. And now we have so many AI tools, so even if you're not a writer, you can still put your perspective and then use AI tools to write. In the end, how I look at it is that you can go to, let's say you have 1 hour today. You will sit and you are like, okay, now I want a job, and how do I look for it? You can go to 10 people and message them, or you can spend those 10-15 minutes to write a post and put it. And your first post might give you at least 1,000 to 2,000 views, right? It reached 2,000 views in 1 hour. You reached 2,000 views, and in that 1 hour you could have messaged 10 people, right? So this is the power of writing, or this is the power of posting on LinkedIn, right? So you have to see that. And if you do both combined with strategically messaging people as well as posting, and also like I think LinkedIn is a very generous platform. If you post that you're looking for a job and that's a sympathy post, it is going to get you like at least 50K 60K views. I think it's very possible. So you can reach so many people in one go. So it's kind of like you are going to career fair and you give your resume to each of the recruiters, and you have like 1 hour and you go to each of these recruiters. You might miss out on someone, but you go to the stage, you have a mic, and you say that, hey, I'm doing this, and here is like my resume. So posting is that. So that's the leverage that posting can give you, like if you just post. So I'm a big yes for posting. I also feel like it's a privilege. 2015, 2016, people did not have this privilege because I was in the job market when I was looking for internships. We did not have this privilege of posting. LinkedIn used to not be this what it is, right? It is, as LinkedIn has grown, it is very different. So I think people have this privilege now, that advantage, I would say, that they can post. So they should maximize on that. And I can say it from a fact that my husband, when he was looking for a job, he started post, like he was not getting calls, and I kept telling him, you need to start posting. He was still not posting. Then one day, like he was really like giving up, and then I wrote the post for him because I was like, okay, fine, you have a writer wife, let me write the post for you. So I wrote the post for him, and it was a very technical post. But my job was that I just write 30% technical stuff and 70% like how, what is the application of it, right? So that other directors, VPs who are in his domain see it. After 3 posts, he got the job. Literally after 3 posts. And he was surprised that his GitHub is just going, like the views on GitHubs are going, like GitHub is another site apart from LinkedIn, right? His views on GitHub are going high and high. Even now, people are downloading his code. So he was like, how is that happening? So people are not really realizing when I say this works. And after third post, he stopped posting because he got the job. But I'm just trying to say that, yeah, it kind of works, right? So
So, follow-up question: do you think someone should stop after they land a job, or do you think that they should continue to do that?
I think they should continue to do that, but also people like bandwidth wise, right? Like people don't have time after they get a job and things like that. I feel you can still post one or two twice in a month. I think that's not bad. I think that is very easy to do. And just even sharing, let's say, conferences you are attending, courses you are learning, it's good enough. Like just to keep your profile afloat, right? So I think that's also good enough. And if they are students, you have a very happening life. Like if you're a student, you're doing projects every single day, so I'm sure you don't have, like, you're not short, and you just have can write like 3 paragraphs, don't even have to write like big, posts that this is what I did, this is what I learned, do you have anything to add to this? That's it, simple. So
Perfect. So here is the rapid fire, and the first question is: what's the one advice you would give to someone starting creating content today?
just create, just really start. I think self doubt kills more dreams than failure ever would, right? So I think that's my biggest thing, that people doubt. They're always like, oh, start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow, and I have hire an editor. Just start, just start. Okay, so that's my advice. If I really, if this has to be rapid fire, then I'll be like, start, just start.
One, yes,
My one advice would be lower your expectations and have fun.
got it. Common mistakes creators make when they're trying to build a brand for themselves, personal brand.
Yeah, not knowing what they want out of it, not knowing, and also being inauthentic. So just creating it for other people, not for yourself, right? Like you should also enjoy it.
The originality misses out when they start thinking from the other people's perspective.
It has to be an intersection of both, because that also is important. If you're creating and nobody's liking, then also it's a problem, right? So yeah.
I would say it is counterintuitive. I think followers is not vanity. You should create content which people like to read because you want to meet them where they are in the hopes of developing enough trust to then give them what they need.
What's something you wish you know earlier about content creation, particularly on LinkedIn?
I think it is not as glamorous as it is, as it looks, right? Like you might think that a content creator with 100K might be earning, like something X amount, right? But that's not true. It's all fluff. There are creators that I've seen that don't have food on the table also. Like that also happens. So I think what I got to know is that it's not as glamorous as it looks from the outside, right? So that's what I like now stepping into it. I'm like, okay, do I really want to do it like that? So go
Do
ahead.
you really want to do it? I'm curious.
I want to do it maybe part time. I'm not really sure. If I really was sure, I would have switched full time. But I'm not. Even though I do think that I'm a good creator, decent creator, but I feel like it's a stressful job. Like your entire. I want to know from someone who has built business from it. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like it's scary to base your business on views or things like that? I want to actually know about it.
I actually, this is the 3 months. I'm 3 months into doing this full time.
Hmm.
Till last year, I was doing my engineering job as well. And I think I took the last entire year to get used to the fact that I'm going to do it full time this year.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it was very scary in the beginning. I had to kind of learn to get there, develop systems with my wife that, okay, this is the runway we have.
Hmm.
This is the amount I'm ready to dip into my savings for. And then as soon as I dip into my savings, I'm going to start looking for a job again. So developing those systems and getting my board members on board
Hmm.
just took a while. So at this point, I was done with engineering, automotive engineering.
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to create a education business like Beyond Grad, and now I know this is what I want to do for sure, which is do the same role that my mentors did for me. So pay it forward, help people go from point A to point B.
That is wonderful. Yeah.
But Arvind, what was your question? The rapid fire
One thing
question.
that you know, you wish you know this earlier about content creation.
I wrote my first blog post in 2018, but I waited to start writing on LinkedIn until 2023, January 1st, 2023. I would have just started writing on the same day I wrote my first blog post. Be where people are, rather than just writing something in your own ecosphere.
Okay. What is one underrated tip for new content creators?
Underrated tip matlab it's basically like what gave you the most ROI but you did not rate it well, like
What
what?
people don't really rate it well when it comes to content creation. Like for example, just like that you said, start creating, like first start.
Yeah, I think the amount of time you spend on your inbox. I think that is the most underrated tip. People talk about likes, comments, and all, but the amount of time you spend in engaging with your community and the amount of I think the way Pooja was saying, right, like the messages. I see my messages, I send them a voice message, and I always get a response from them that hey, we were not expecting a reply, right? So the amount of people don't care if you don't care. So, I think you have to show that care. That is the most underrated tip. Care, I feel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Give to get back. The easiest way to give is to use the comment section. You'll be able to build relationships.
Mm.
You will be able to improve your thinking, and you'll be able to improve your writing jobs. It's underrated. Comment section.
One thing you would do differently if you're starting today.
One thing I would do differently if I was starting today, I would not. I think for me, self doubt had in the recent times, self doubt has been a big deal for me. So I doubted. I have doubted myself a lot. So I think I would not doubt myself. Like I would just go with it. Like as I said, like experimenting. It's better to like try 10 things and fail 5 times than to try like 2 things and pass all the 2 times. Right? Like you're gonna learn more with the former than the latter, right? So I think for me that's where like experiment and then not have that self-doubt stopping you from doing what you want to do.
Got it. Varun?
Knowing what I know now, I would have started in 2018, 5 years before I actually started.
Wow.
One thing that you would do differently if you're starting today. Would you be more aggressive with content creation? Would you prefer quality over quantity, or is it vice versa?
I would reverse engineer sooner. I started reverse engineering 7 months into my content writing. I would have started sooner. That would have given me like the boost I needed
Yeah,
earlier.
would you mind walking us through what do you mean by reverse engineering?
Reverse engineering what works on the platform, and then at least have 3 out of the 5 posts be on a topic that I know has worked on the platform, and then I'm adding my twist to it, and then experiment with the other two because you need to have fun, and you might stumble upon a way to do something that goes viral. To give you an example, I write some of these posts where I link I curate a roundup of my short posts, and I create like a post which says, want an interview or want to crack an interview? Here are all the posts and tools you need. And then I curate my posts. And that is something I stumbled upon and something that went really high, like viral in the sense 2 million impressions at that time was very high for me. So you stumble upon things, but I would reverse engineer sooner, not wait to be original.
Got it. Thank you so much. And the last question, a creator you admire and why?
Prajakta Kohli and Ankur Warikoo. I think these are the two creators. Bhuvan Bam too, but first like Prajakta. I think I'm a big Prajakta Kohli fan. I see her video every single day. Old videos also that I've watched. I think I'll watch it. Her authenticity. I think that is what kind of goes through, and her resilience. Like she has like people just see her now, but the same people that she's now co-paneling with, like as speakers, are the same people that she used to run behind to be like an anchor, like outside
Mhm.
those publicity events and all. So she has really and this is not easy. This I think this entire media industry or like social media is not really easy, right? Like this, I think one thing I wanted to discuss was with Pooja was competition. How do you deal with competition? Because there's so much of that. But the way she has carried forward, the way she was basically first, YouTuber, then kind of she became like she's an actor where she did Mismatched, and then she wrote a book. So just as a creator you could do so many avenues. I think that is there. That's what I like about her. And Ankur Warikoo, if you really see his frameworks are amazing. Like he's never posted any content which is time sensitive, which is totally against what social media is based on, right? Like it's kind of like you have to put time sensitive stuff so you'll get viral, all that stuff, but he still goes viral. Like he still has that. So the way he's mid like 40, 45 something, and then he's in mid 40s, but he's still like like there's a space for everyone here. That's what I feel. So I think his frameworks, his way of team building, his way of like, I think that has taught a lot, like ability to think long term. That I think is, I really admire. So I want to know from you, Varun.
I will echo Ankur Warigo, man. He's impressive. He also studied in Michigan, where I studied in Michigan. So I'm like, okay, there's some similarity there. So, three creators I love for different reasons. One is Jeff Su. He is a YouTube creator. I really love him because all his content is value packed and action packed, and that is what I strive for. And interestingly, built a relationship with him via the comment section. So, a callback to one of my previous answers. That's what the first creator. The second creator is Saundara actually. She was like a, you can say almost like a North Star for me in terms of LinkedIn writing, because I started writing, I was seeing her posts, and I learned a lot at that point in my journey. So Saundara is definitely somebody I admire. And last but not the least, and this is off left field from traditional metrics point of view, there is a friend now, again, LinkedIn, again, comment section, called Melvin Verghese. He's a
Really like-
psychiatrist turned
He's from
entrepreneur. Sorry?
Philadelphia, right? Like I think I know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's from Philly. And we've just built a friendship. That guy started creating content 9 years back, and he doesn't have the traditional metrics that you would expect from somebody. He has like 10,000, 15,000 maybe followers on LinkedIn, and not even, and he's done YouTube for a while and not a lot on YouTube as well. But I love how intentional he is in the way he's built a business, how he takes breaks, how he has defined what is good enough for him. And I learn a lot from
Mm,
him in terms of just life practice as a creator. So,
mm.
a spectrum from somebody who has a million followers on YouTube to somebody who doesn't have a million followers, but you can learn so much from each of them.
Yeah. I think I echo on Pooj, like Saundarya, like what you said. Like I think as a creator, not just as a creator, as a person, she's so resilient that it just will rub off on you. Like I think if you are around her, you're gonna be inspired. That hey, how did you do this? How did and she keeps doing new things. She's never doing the same thing. So it's really like, do how do I catch up with her, right? I think so. I echo on that, like what you said. I think along the lines of Melvin, what you said. I think there is this creator Niharika Sodi. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah, I know of her. Delhiite.
Exactly, yeah. So she also writes on LinkedIn and she also has built a business with purpose. Like she's only there on LinkedIn, she's not there on any other platform with the same reasons where she's like, my goal is to have only a 4 hour work week. And so if I'm able to have 4 hour work week, if I'm able to earn X amount, that's it. That's what I'm gonna cap on. So I think that's what I really like that clarity that she has, because it's like you're saying no to so many other things, right? Like, but she is not being carried away by FOMO, right? She has so much of clarity. I think that also when I was seeing that, I was like, she could do so much more, but she's just chosen that written platforms. That's it. So that's interesting to see.
Great. Thank you so much. And I had a really, really wonderful session for the last 2 hours. I was hoping this to be for 1 hour, but then, yeah, such when such conversations happen.
You are going to have
A lot
such
of
a hard
thinking.
time editing this.
Yeah, but I'm just going to make sure that everything comes into the long form content, and we also make use of this as to repurpose as short form content, because long form people rarely consume. They don't have the patience to sit down for 2 hours. But yeah,
Varun and both of you, like, how do you deal with Arvind, like, competition? Because I can see this field getting, of course, a lot more competitive. How do you deal with that? Because then there are people who don't like support you, like, the creators who kind of like gatekeep things, and then there are creators who do give you opportunities. Like, how do you deal with competition, or like feeling that this creator is ahead of you, or XYZ, like that? I really want to know, how do you do that?
you will always have an audience for yourself. That's the only answer that I have. Like, there are so
Mm,
many people out there, and you will definitely find your own audience, and that audience group, the number would keep going as you be, if you're being honest to yourself and to the audience that you have. I'm very sure that they're going to be loyal to you, and that number will also keep growing as you do that with all the integrity. I mean that comes for everything. Like even for my business, this is the most common. Like I've also spoken this on LinkedIn. Like this is the most common business that anyone could own today. Like
True.
how do
Yeah.
I would differentiate myself here? But then Soundarya has been a very strong pillar to me on the personal side, not just with the professional side. She taught me a lot of things directly and indirectly. So she was the one who made me to quit my full-time job and get into this business. It's been 1 year since I started doing that. So what I learned is like you will find your place as you stay
Mm.
very loyal to this and stay with so much of integrity. So and people will also come and follow you for the very same reason. So that's the answer that I have.
That's totally true. And you know what you were saying, that there's so many people to start the agency. Trust me, there are so many agencies I have worked with, and I mean, I'm sure Pooja has also worked with, and she's not spoken as highly of anyone as she has spoken of you. And so I can. That's what I'm saying. So it's also about, like, it's not gonna sit with everybody, right? It's only like few people who have like the right values that you're gonna be like, yeah, I think our values align, and so we can work together. So I think that's there. Varun, do you have anything to say? Like, I wanna listen.
So on my worst days, I do get jealous. I do question how is this post getting these many likes, whereas the one that I wrote, which I feel is more valuable, is going down the drain. Those are like worst days. But then I also have more and more and more good days, which is there's a principle that a mentor of mine taught me called D2C principle. Very weird name. Derision to curiosity. And he used the example of Kim Kardashian. That people look at Kim Kardashian and they are very derisive about her, right? Derisive or derisive, something. I don't know how to pronounce that word. But they look at her and it's like, oh, she's just famous for being famous, or she's just famous because she's dated famous people. I think what he talks about is go from D to C to curiosity as to okay, be curious why did it work for this person? How did they become famous? What did they do well? So on my best days, I am using D to C principle when it comes to creating part of it. I rarely get I'm extremely non-competitive about the business space where okay, yeah, their business can work, my business can work, everybody's business can work. I think where I do get competitive is about engagement numbers and all of that. I think that is something that I'm still working with.
Yeah, I think that's right. For me, it's more about, like, let's say I don't like when I'm growing and people are giving me the attention. Like, I'm not talking about just the audience, but I'm talking about anybody else outside. Like, there are people who don't even answer you when you are, let's say, at like 30K, 40K. But then there are same people who would just be like doing everything to just talk to you. So that sometimes makes me get like very confused, and I don't like about that this field. And so it kind of makes me like sometimes insecure, and like, there's no like, on my worst days I also feel competitive. I also feel like, oh, why this is not happening. But at the same time, like, I was just thinking how people deal with what you were saying, that this kind of space. But it's good to know, I think. It's good to get that.
I think the way you deal with it is the to feel what you're feeling, I guess.
Exactly.
I doubt you can remove. I think it takes a lot of years and maturity to kind of remove that out completely.
Yeah.
I'm always suspicious of people who say I don't get jealous.
No, there are.
That's maybe that's maybe my hang up. That's maybe my hang up.
Yeah.
But if people, "Oh, I don't get jealous," I'm like, okay, interesting. I wonder how that happens.
There are people who don't get jealous. Like, I have my mentor, and he really will give his business secrets also. Like, he has competitors who have come to him and asked him, can you give me your entire, like, entire module of the business, and he will give it to them, and they would still be not be able to replicate. And he's like, the leadership stands apart. It's not about the frameworks, it's about how one directs something, one leads something, which is a still for me, it's like थोड़ा higher level concept है. मैं उधर तक नहीं पहुंची हूँ. So
I
yeah.
also believe in that, Roshni.
Do they be jealous? Like, do they have those feelings? That's what I wonder. In the sense that, yeah, you can be very generous, you can be like positive minded in your actions. Does that is that you are working with your negative emotions, or you don't have those negative emotions in the first place? That's the question.
With him, he's what you said, very curious guy, right? Like I think
Mm.
that's what I've seen him. So he's extremely curious, so he always keeps questioning things, but at the same time I'm not like he's too busy also. I feel like these kind of people are too busy to sit down with an emotion. I'm sure everybody feels jealousy. To linger on it is the question that we are trying to basically, answer. Like I'm sure everybody will have a how does this person have more, right, or things like that. But it's when I saw what he said, which was this is about leadership, you can take, and that's what Ankur Warikoo shares all his frameworks, right, on his courses. If you really see, or on his videos also, he shares his team also. He's not gatekeeping any of his resources also. He's like, this is this person, this is this person. So it's there's a lot, there is confidence there, right? Like he does not worry about those things. Like he's creating opportunities for his team also, not just for himself. So I do wonder, like, that's confidence, right? So I think, Arvind, you had to say something now.
It all comes down to a point where how confident are you with something that you are creating. And if see, it's all about when you give something, it comes back to you twofold. That's what I believe in. And what I was trying to say is, like, every time I prepare a proposal for a prospect, and I would eventually end up giving all the secrets that I have for him if I start working for him. My wife always used to say, like, you have to cut on certain things. You don't really have to tell them everything. What if they start doing this with someone else? Let them do. I would always have my own secret ingredient to sprinkle on. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I would gatekeep that secret ingredient. It comes with so much of passion and love. If someone is able to replicate that for themselves through someone else, it's good for them, right? And
Yeah.
if I'm not going to, I don't really think to win that client through the secrets or the proposal that I have for him. I just wanted to have the first call or the second call with the prospect, sharing what are the knowledge that I have for him. And
Hmm.
maybe the prospect might come back to me saying that, hey, you are wrong, this is not something that it works that way, so that I would gain some knowledge. This is where I see, I don't really see this as a business as and when I sign a client, right? Everything before that is a knowledge sharing for me. And if you share your knowledge, you will get that back as 2x. That's what I believe in. And the third I wanted to add, when you said your mentor also does not really gatekeep even the business secrets, I mean, you will always find your people, you will always find your peers. So you don't really have to be worried about your competition.
I think what you said about karma, right? Like if you do positive karma, it is gonna come back to you. If you put that intention to someone, then it is gonna come back to you some or the other way also, right? And like it's about abundance mindset and scarcity mindset. Like I think, you think that there are limited opportunities, but I do feel in as Indians we do have some competitiveness, because the population of the country is so much, and you're always like, you have to come first rank. Your parents are telling you first rank, and then first rank is only one rank, right? It's not two or it's three. So I think there is this. I was really trying to go back and see where this competitiveness has been there in Indians. I see that in a lot more Indians than Americans. Maybe they don't have that much of like, population, or they don't have that much of like they can go to other avenues. But I've seen that in Indians a lot, and that's why I was like, where does this really sprout? Where does it come from? So, but it's good to know. Like this is actually helpful to me too.
Yeah, zero sum game versus positive sum game, right? Schooling was so zero sum game.
Exactly.
Only one first rank, only 100 seats in the top school in your neighborhood or college in your neighborhood. But life is so positive sum, right? We can all have amazing businesses.
Exactly. True.
Perfect. And thank you so much, guys. Before we wrap it up, I just wanted you to individually plug in what you guys are doing and why should someone watch this episode.
If you want to learn all things content creation, this is the episode that you should watch. Ting ting ting.
I will add that. Thank you. And Varun, what do you do? I know Roshini has a different approach to this.
I love to write. So if you want to, just get inspired, then you can follow me on my LinkedIn. And if you're looking for a job, then you can follow me on my Instagram as well as on my YouTube. So that's there. I don't know. I'm very bad with like plugging myself, I think. Yeah.
So you should watch this episode if you want to start writing on LinkedIn, or you want to hear other creators talk about what they like about content creation, where they are struggling, where they are succeeding to kind of maybe future pace what it looks like in maybe a year's time or 2 years' time. That's what you would get out of this episode. And what I do, I am creating a knowledge startup called Beyond Grad, where I help 9 to 5 professionals monetize their expertise. Currently, I'm doing that with the job search. So, if you are struggling on how to sell yourself in the job search process, then look me up on LinkedIn, Varun Negandhi. Hopefully, I don't think there are many, so you'll find me very quickly. Or look for the bald guy. Roshni, coming back to our
I did
earlier
not do it.
discussion about.
Okay, it was Pooja. I did not do it. Yeah.
So look for the bald guy with the beard named Varun Gandhi, and you'll find me there.
Okay,
Thank
pretty
you
good.
so much.
This helps me what he was trying to say. If you're just looking for inspiration, then follow Roshan Shalani. Right? That's what. Yeah. Good.
Your posts are inspirational. I think that's a great plug.
That's the brand I'm building. So see, that's it should come out
Nice.
of every post that I'm doing. So, whatever brand that you're building, it should be in 3 words at the max. Right? Yeah. But it was
Very
good.
nice.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Varun. Thank you so much, Roshni. I had a very great time. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.